Naila, why is English language important to learn?
This is because English language is an international language and is widely followed and understood by people across the world.
I want to learn this language.
To learn every language, there are some skills to develop. Follow this class to learn these skills.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Viewers of MTA Africa, we welcome you once again on our program English for Junior High School MTA Series 2. We are going to continue with our lesson on the guidelines on essay writing. Today is going to be our lesson 3, and we expect that you sit down, have your items, that is your pen, your book, and follow us throughout the lesson. Class, we welcome you to the program once again. Today, the topic is going to be on analyzing the purpose of our essay. We are still under the general guidelines of essay writing. And then we are going to go into details how to analyze our purpose. Our other 2 lessons, we try to identify the steps. In the first lesson, we try to identify the steps that you need to go through when you are to write an essay. And we try to give a simple meaning of an essay, what an essay simply means. And then we also gave examples of formal and informal essays. Today we are going to go into details of how to analyze our purpose. In our lesson 2, we tried to identify the purpose of our essay. If you are given a question, how do you identify the purpose of your essay? We looked at that in our lesson 2. After we have been able to identify, we need to analyze it. Analyzing it will give us the opportunity to be able to raise enough points and write a very good essay. So today's lesson is going to be basically on how to analyze the purpose we identify. Before we go into the details, let us have the objectives for our lesson. It is our aim that by the end of the lesson, we should be able to identify the purpose of any JHS essay question. So that if you submit an essay question, you should be able to identify the purpose from that question. This is a continuous part of what we already did for us to be well grounded in that. And then we shall also aim at coming out with a detailed analysis of the purposes identified. If you are able to identify your purpose, you should be able to analyze it into details. That will help you to be able to generate more points to write. And then our third objective will be, at the end of it, we should be able to appreciate the importance of analyzing our purpose. If you don't appreciate its importance, you will not actually put it into practice. It is very important as students or as people that would always be writing things. We appreciate that there's a need for us to always analyze the reason behind our writing. So we start with identifying the purpose of our essay. I'm going to give a simple task to find out whether you recall what we did the other time. Using the following guiding questions, which are as displayed, I expect you to identify the purpose of the essay questions below. These are the guiding questions. You should be asking yourself the question that shall come. You use these questions to guide yourself in answering. First, you ask yourself, what is the purpose of your writing? You should ask yourself to what is motivating you or me, that is you in particular, to write the essay. Then what am I or what are you writing about? And then why should you? If you turn it to yourself, why should I even write at all? So use these guiding lines. The other day, we try to let us understand that the best way to identify the purpose of your essay is to ask yourself these 4 questions. So I want you to apply them right now and then come out with the purpose of the following essays. There are 5 of them. Each of you will analyze one, will identify one. And these are the questions. The first one, write a letter to the MP of your area highlighting 3 challenges in the area and suggest solutions. As a principal speaker in a debate, write for or against the motion. Teachers should be blamed for West Africa Examination Council examination leakages. WAEC, the full meaning is West Africa Examination Council. So this is an acronym. If you see it, WAEC, that's the full meaning. And then the third one is you shall describe a festival you witnessed recently, any festival at all you have witnessed. Then you will be writing an article for publication in any of the national newspapers on the topic, the best way to overcome indiscipline in our society. So having given you the guiding questions, use those questions to identify the purposes for each of them. Hajara, you do that of question 1. Sarah, question 2. Josefa, you do question 3. And then our 2 boys, you concentrate on question 4. So you start. I'll give you some few minutes, and then I'll ask you, you generate the purposes. I'll give you 2 minutes to generate the purpose for each of the essays, and then you read them to us. Our viewers at home also take part in this exercise. Try to identify the purposes for each of the questions given. Use the guiding questions that had been displayed, which I will display again for your viewership. These are the guiding questions on the screen. And then these are actually the questions that you are working on, each of you. Don't worry yourself copying the whole question before coming out with a purpose. Just read the question and try to come out with a purpose for each question. Yeah, let me take your responses. As the first question, write a letter to the MP of your area highlighting 3 challenges in the area and suggest solutions. Yeah, what's the purpose of that?
The purpose of the letter is to make the MP know 3 challenges in the area and the solution to it.
That's very good. So let the MP know 3 challenges. Good. In your area, right? When you do this, you are not done. You are supposed to also what? Mention the solutions, suggested solution to the problem. That's good. And then you suggest solutions to the problems or the challenges that you've mentioned. That's good. Question 2. Sarah, right? Yeah, what's the purpose of the question 2?
The purpose of the debate is that we have to write for or against the motion that teachers should be blamed for West African Examination Council examination leakages.
Okay, so you chose 1. Either you are writing for or you write what? Against, right? So the purpose is that you are going to argue. You are going to argue out whether it is true teachers should be blamed or teachers should not be blamed. Which one would you go for, Sarah? Would you go for the motion or you would go against the motion?
Against the motion.
You will go against the motion. Good. So that's it. And then question 3. Yes, Josefa, what's the purpose? What are you to do here?
So I'm to write a festival I witnessed recently.
Good. You are just not to write the festival, but what exactly are you supposed to do in your write-up?
To describe a festival.
You are to describe. So you need to understand that you are to what? To describe. So that's the main aim there. You are to describe. Good. Orchard, give us the purpose for your question.
Sir, please, the best way to overcome indiscipline in our society.
So you concentrate on the ways to overcome what? Indiscipline. Good. Mostly it is not difficult to identify the purpose because the purpose is framed within the what? The question. But how to analyze them is the challenge now. So let's look at it. We shall try to analyze the questions as well. Now let's see how we can analyze. We say to be able to analyze, to write any meaningful essay on any question, you must what? Analyze the purpose of that essay. You've been able to identify your purposes. But then, you are not done. To be able to write them well, you begin to analyze them, to raise points that will form your paragraphing. If you don't raise points, you wouldn't be able to develop your paragraphs. So that is where we are coming to look at. How do we do this? So you can do this by identifying the keywords in your what? Purpose. That's the first thing you do. How do you analyze? First of all, you identified what? The keywords in the question, which is your purpose. The purpose you've been able to identify in each of you. So you go back to start to identify the keywords. Do you follow me? Good. So each of you will mention the keywords in your purpose you identified, which is found in the what? In the question. Do you get me? Good. So let's identify the keywords. Let's start from question 1. Yes, Hajara, what are the keywords you will begin to pay attention to?
Challenges.
Good. Challenges. It's very important. You need to understand what it means. What else?
Solution.
Solutions. Good. Is there any other? Which one?
Highlighting.
Highlighting. Good. These words are very important as far as the question is concerned. If you do not understand them, you can't answer the question. You can't write any meaningful essay. So you need to understand them first. So under question 1, you should be able to understand these keywords. They are very important. They control the question. When we talk of keywords, they are the words that control the statement. Let's go to question 2. What are the possible keywords you've identified?
Teachers should be blamed or not.
Okay. So let's say like blame. Or not what? Blamed. It's very important. You need to understand the meaning of what? Blamed. What else?
For or against the motion.
Good. Let me display the questions for our viewerships so that you'll be able to follow. Good. So, the keywords for or what?
For
Against.
or against.
It's also good. You need to understand in debate when we say for, what does it mean? And when we say against, what it also what? Means. You need to understand. If not, you write something else. What else? Do you have any other keywords? Yeah, I think there is one keyword there. That's you need to also, which you didn't mention. Yes? Someone should help us. Yes, Hajara?
Leakage.
Leakage. You need to understand what leakages are. If you don't understand what leakages are, you can't actually write the debate. Good. Josefa, let's look at the keywords in your purpose. Question 3, yes. Okay, so Josefa, let's identify the keywords in your purpose, looking at your question.
Witness.
Witness is one. Yes.
Recently.
Recently is also another. Speak up, please.
Describe.
Describe. Good. If you hadn't mentioned that, your purpose will be. There's also another one. What are you describing?
Festival.
Festival is very important. Good. These keywords are very, very important. You can even ignore witness. You can ignore. You can ignore recently. But you can't ignore these two. Describe and what? Festival. Because at the end of it, if you don't describe, you are not answering the question. If what you describe isn't a festival, you have not answered the question. Do you understand that? Good. Now let's come to the last one, question 4, the purpose. There. What do you identify as your purpose? Yes, you mentioned one. You also mentioned some. Yes. Indiscipline. Indiscipline is very important. What you are going to talk about is what? Indiscipline. It's very, very important. Yes, what other keyword is there?
Overcome.
Overcome. We should be able to what? Overcome. Good. Any other keyword?
Society.
Society. Good. Good. So, having identified these keywords in your purpose, you will now begin to analyze them. How do you analyze them? We shall go through. That is, when I mean analyzing them, is understanding what they mean. Analyzing your purpose, the keywords in your purpose simply mean to what? To understand what the keywords what mean. That will form the core of your essay. If you are not able to do that, you can't write any meaningful essay. Good. So as we did, now we are saying that you try to understand the keywords identified, which we have done. We've identified them first of all. We are now trying to do what? To understand them. And then at each time, the keywords will change. If we are able to understand what is challenges, solutions, highlighting, blamed, and the rest, for now, today, another time, they may not be the same keywords you would meet. You understand? There will be different what? Keywords, because different situations will always come up. Different questions will always be given to you. But we are going to use some guiding questions that at any time at all, you are able to identify your purpose and you are able to identify your keywords. You use those questions against your keywords. And then those questions, as you try to answer them against your keywords, you'll be able to understand your purpose. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to apply such key questions to our keywords we've identified here. And some of them is how. So for example, you ask yourself, when we say challenges, how does it occur? Or how is it? Do you get me? Depending on the situation. We have how, we have where, we have when, we have what, and then we have who. You use these questions, we call them WH questions. It's not difficult to keep in mind. You realize that all of them are made of, most of them start with W what? H, WH, WH, WH. It's only the how that starts with H, but the rest starts with W, and then what? Follow with what? H. But still, we have W and H in how. So we include how into the WH what? Questions, and there are 5. So you should always have this in mind, that if I want to understand my purpose, that's the keywords in my purpose, I need to apply the WH what? Questions to them. It isn't every time that these questions are applicable to every question. No. There are instances 1 or 2 may be applicable. There are also instances you can have all of them applying. But in every situation, you'll be able to use either 2 or 3. Right? So for example, let's begin to apply them on our keywords we've identified here. And you realize that you'll be able to raise ideas, which you should begin doing, and be raising the ideas for that. Let's start with like question 1, challenges. You can ask, what is challenges? Do you get that? You ask, when we talk of challenges, what does it mean? So as you think along that line, you begin to jot the point. That is your rough work. That is your plan. You started planning like that. Do you understand? So you ask yourself. So you begin to ask yourself, the one answering that question. You begin, when we talk of challenges, what does it mean? You can also ask, how does it occur? Challenges, how does it occur? How? These challenges I'm talking about, how do they occur? You can ask yourself, where do they occur? Where at all do they occur? You can also ask the same question, when do they occur? You can ask the same question, who is responsible for these challenges? Then solutions. When we talk of solution, what is it? When we talk of solution, what at all it is? When we say solution, what does it mean? The ideas that will be coming in your mind, you do what? You jot them down. Then, so these are the principles you apply to your essay questions. When you have finished identifying your purpose. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir.
Good. Can we move on?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now let's pick one of the questions we have over there and we try to analyze them. So we say, for example, question 1. The purpose was for us to identify the issues that are problem facing our community. That was the purpose of that question. Now let's see. After that, you provide suggested solution to the problems mentioned, which you had it right. Then these are our keywords: highlight, challenges, suggest, and solutions, which you have them there. That's very good. Then you begin to apply the keywords against the WH questions. And then let's see. So we say apply the questions to the purpose. That's to the most of the keywords. As we have, what are the issues my community or the people are faced with? That's the first thing you ask. Then you begin to realize that there are some ideas coming up. You put them down. In your case, you were to describe. You can say, what festival happened recently? You begin to write those festivals that occurred recently. Good. In your case, you begin to ask, when we talk of leakages, what are examination leakages? Good. How do these issues occur? In the case of question 1, the challenges you mentioned, how do they occur? So in the case of the examination leakage, you ask yourself, how do leakages occur? In your case too, you begin to ask yourself, how does this festival happen? How does it happen? Do you understand me? And in your case, you were answering question 4, which is on discipline, right? So how does indiscipline occur? And how do we overcome it? These are the ways you begin to ask yourself. Then what are the possible causes? The same way you apply to that. And then when do these challenges occur? So these are how you begin to apply them to your questions, your keywords. These are just a guide for you. So at each time, after you've identified your keywords, you apply these questions to them. So we are now saying you should apply similar techniques to questions 2 to 5. I've used question 1 as a guide. So I expect you, each of you here, question 2 to question 5, you apply the same techniques and write detailed point for me. For our next lesson, you present it and then we'll look at. Then we say we read out the points or ideas to the class or anyone around. So you shall apply that, and then in our next lesson, you present it to us. Then you use similar techniques or steps to analyze your purpose of any essay you are writing at any time. Remember, we do not need to rush anytime we are writing our essay. But as you analyze them and you are raising your point, don't also spend too much of time, because you'll be given time limit to respond. It's because it's a lesson. That's why it appears to have taken much of a time. But on your own, it will be quicker. And from now onwards, anytime you are answering any essay question or you are writing any essay, go through these steps. Identify your purpose. Apply the questions we've identified there to it. Do you understand me? But viewers at home, we expect you to also take part in the exercises given. Question 1 was used as a guide for all of us. Question 2 to 4 are left for all of us to do it at home. Use the guidelines that was given and analyze them, raise your point, and present it to anyone around you. Until we meet again next time, we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.